Nidhi and Parisa, if y'all are ready, you can start the presentation.
Okay. 1 second. Nidhi, could you screen share?
Yeah, sure. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So I think we can start now. Um, so I'm Nidhi. I am 17 and I am about to go into my final year of school. And Parisa, do you wanna?
Hi, I'm Parisa. I'm also going to be going into my final year of school, and today we're going to be talking about social media literacy. So, Nidhi.
Yeah, so we'll be doing this in two ways. I'll be first covering it in Hindi, I mean in English, and then Parisa will go over it in Hindi. So, Headline Ke Piche is a movement that we created to raise awareness about misinformation spreading online and to a lot of people that can even sway voting power and elections.
तो हेडलाइन के पीछे एक ऐसी मूवमेंट है जिसमें हम इस बारे में बात करेंगे कि हमें जो भी ऐसे जानकारी मिलती है अपने फ़ोन पे, न्यूज़ पे, वो हमें कैसे पता है कि ये सच है या झूठ?
Huh. So the problem that we truly face is that all media is not necessarily true media. It is not exactly that people are short of information. It is that they are surrounded by too many different stories with too many different angles, and it makes it hard to understand what is true or not.
तो लोगों के पास जानकारी की कोई कमी नहीं होती क्योंकि आजकल हमें इतनी सारी जानकारी मिलती है फ़ोन पे, न्यूज़ पे, वेबसाइट्स पे, तो हमें ये बताना मुश्किल हो जाता है कि कौन-सी बात जो
मैं
वो बता रहे
कमलेश
हैं वो
मेरा
सच है
मेडिकल
और
एलएमएम
कौन-सी
मीटिंग
झूठ।
ना
ओके।
Um, yeah, do you want to just go ahead with the activity? Like, just read the activity.
तो हम एक एक्टिविटी करेंगे, आप अपना हाथ उठा लेना और हम आपको पिक कर लेंगे। तो आपको एक ऐसे पोस्ट या व्हाट्सएप फॉरवर्ड के बारे में सोचो जो आपने अभी कभी देखी होगी और आपको वो देख के कैसे पता चला कि वो सच है या झूठ? आपने उन्हें बस बिलीव कर लिया पढ़ के, या आप जब ऐसे पोस्ट देखते हो तो आप कैसे प्रोसेस करते हो?
So
कोई भी
if
हाथ
any,
उठा
yeah.
सकता है।
You all want to give an example first, just to help them know what kind of post you're looking at?
या ओके। तो मेरे जो दादाजी हैं वो हमारे जो फैमिली ग्रुप है उसमें वो बहुत सारे व्हाट्सएप फॉरवर्ड्स भेजता है जो उनके दोस्त भी उन्हें भेजता है, और वो अभी 70 साल के हैं, तो वो जो भी पढ़ता है वो बस मान लेता है। तो उन्हें रिसेंटली एक व्हाट्सएप फॉरवर्ड भेजा था जिसमें लिखा था कि अगर तुम्हारा सर दुख रहा है तो तुम ऐसे वॉल पे जाके उल्टा बैठ जाओ और आपका सर दर्द चला जाएगा। तो फिर ऐसी चीज़ें उनने पढ़ के बस बिलीव कर ली और उन्होंने बोला कि हाँ, अगर आप सब में से किसी का भी ऐसे सर दुखेगा तो ये कर लेना। तो वो कोई ऐसे साइंटिफिक एविडेंस या कोई भी प्रूफ के पीछे नहीं पड़े, उनने बस जो भी पढ़ लिया वो उनने मान लिया। ठीक है, अगर किसी के पास कुछ नहीं है तो हम नेक्स्ट स्लाइड पे जा सकते हैं।
Okay. Um, so there are many ways in which information can get to you. The first way is news channels, as I'm sure we're all familiar with. Different outlets that present the same story in different ways. We might not know this, but news channels actually have a hidden agenda that, and so they manipulate the information they share with you to further kind of promote their viewpoint.
तो हमें इन्फॉर्मेशन कैसे मिलती है? एक तरीका न्यूज़ होता है। तो जो न्यूज़ के आउटलेट्स होते हैं वो आपको सेम ही जो स्टोरी होती है वो वापस बताता है और दूसरी तरीकों से। तो हमें ऐसे कन्फ्यूजन हो जाता है कि कौन सच बोल रहा है और कौन झूठ बोल रहा है।
Yeah. And another one is algorithms. So apps like Instagram, Facebook, um, they monitor what you like to watch and they show you more of that. So it's less balanced and it's more of a particular view that they've noticed that you like the most.
तो ऐप्स के अंदर एक एल्गोरिथम होता है जो बेसिकली एक कोडिंग होती है जिसमें वो देखते हैं कि आप क्या चीज़ें लाइक कर रहे हो। जैसे आप अगर रील्स में स्क्रॉल कर रहे हो तो अगर आप 3 चीज़ें जो सिमिलर है या सेम है वो लाइक करते हो तो वो आपको वैसे और भेजता है ताकि आप उनके ऐप पे और देर के लिए रहो, क्योंकि आप जितने भी देर उनके ऐप पे रहोगे उन्हें और पैसे मिलेंगे।
And the last way is through influencers and campaigns. So a lot of the times influencers promote this particular idea and they campaign them, and people and like are more willing to believe someone that they like personally rather than um, understanding like where their viewpoint specifically comes from, which can be dangerous.
तो तीसरा तरीका होता है इन्फ्लुएंसर्स के जो कैंपेन्स होता है उन्हें सुनना, क्योंकि इन्फ्लुएंसर्स के बहुत सारे फैंस होते हैं और वो फैंस उन्हें पसंद करते हैं, इसलिए अम, वो जो भी इन्फ्लुएंसर उन्हें बोलता है वो मान लेता है क्योंकि उन्हें वो पसंद है।
Yeah. So I guess it comes down to one question, like why does your attention matter so much to these people, and why does it have value? It's important to know that your attention means that apps and news can gain money, clicks, and influence. And so they compete for this attention because they want money and they want, yeah. And it's actually been proven that posts that make people feel extreme emotions such as anger and excitement spread faster than more calm or boring posts. And fear, gossip, and drama can often get more clicks than like truthful, careful facts. And platforms tend to push the most eye-catching content, and they are not necessarily always true.
तो आपका जो ध्यान होता है वो न्यूज़ चैनल्स और एप्स सब ऐसे कंपटीशन में होता है कि कौन सबसे ज़्यादा लोगों का सबसे ज़्यादा ध्यान बटा सकता है, क्योंकि उन्हें इससे पैसे मिलते हैं, क्लिक्स मिलता है और इन्फ्लुएंस मिलता है, और इन सब से उन्हें पावर मिलती है और पॉपुलैरिटी मिलती है। तो जब कोई ऐसा पोस्ट डालता है जो बहुत लोगों को गुस्सा करता है या बहुत लोगों को खुश करता है, तो वो और जल्दी स्प्रेड होता है क्योंकि वो सब देख रहे हैं और सब उनके उसके साथ ऐसे इंटरैक्ट कर रहे हैं। तो जो प्लेटफॉर्म होता है या ऐप होता है और उसका जो एल्गोरिथम होता है वो वैसे पोस्ट को और ज़्यादा लोगों को दिखाता है क्योंकि उससे उन्हें ज़्यादा पैसे मिलते हैं क्योंकि आप उनके ऐप पे ज़्यादा टाइम स्पेंड कर रहे हो।
So there are many types of misinformation. There is misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation, which all have different meanings. Misinformation is essentially wrong information that's shared accidentally or by mistake. The person who sent it thought it was true, but it appeared not to be.
तो मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन तब होती है जब कोई कोई गलत चीज़ गलती से आपको बता दे क्योंकि उन्हें लगा था कि वो सच है।
Yeah. Disinformation, however, is wrong information shared on purpose to trick people or to manipulate them into thinking in a certain way.
तो डिसइन्फॉर्मेशन तब होती है जब कोई गलत जानकारी आपको बताए ताकि आप धोखा खा लो और उनका कोई फ़ायदा हो।
And malinformation is when true information or correct information is used in a harmful way or taken out of context to make it seem like one side is more favorable than the other.
तो मैल इन्फॉर्मेशन तब होती है जब कोई कोई सच बात ले और उसे कोई ऐसी तरीके में यूज़ करे जिससे जो पढ़ रहा है उनका कोई फ़ायदा ना हो या उनके लिए हार्मफुल हो सकता है पर जो बता रहा है उनके लिए वो अच्छी बात होगी क्योंकि उससे उन्हें कुछ मिलता है।
So I think we can do the quick activity again. So
Yeah. तो आप कोई हम एक और एक्टिविटी कर रहे हैं सेम अगर आपको कुछ बोलना होगा तो आप हाथ उठा लेना आंसर करने के लिए। तो कोई ऐसी जानकारी या कोई स्टोरी बताओ जो आपने अभी रिसेंटली सुनी है और हमें बताओ कि क्या वो मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन था, डिसइन्फॉर्मेशन था या मैल इन्फॉर्मेशन था। कोई भी बोल सकता है।
If no one has an answer, I'd like to ask y'all a question. There was recent news about the NEET or re-NEET rather, the examination that was retaken, and there was so much information, or rather misinformation, that was spread around on social media. How do you think we can combat that? How do you think we can tackle that issue?
I think it's very important for people to stick to official websites rather than WhatsApp forwards or Instagram posts and such, because official websites, of course, tend to have official information that is not dependent on what the people want to hear, and in fact is independent on everything else other than like the pure based facts. And so that's a good way of combating.
I think another example that we could look at to utilize the information that y'all have informed us about would be to look at the recent change in petrol and how most governments are looking at making it an ethanol blend. What do you think that is? Do you think even with information, even with going through official circuits, do you think there's still a chance of it being disinformation and malinformation?
Yeah, definitely. Even on official websites, sometimes it can be used in the favor of the website owners. So it could be disinformation or malinformation, but something like the neat answers being leaked, that's probably just misinformation if it's not on official websites.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any other questions or any examples that y'all have seen in recent media? If not, I think we can still go ahead with the presentation.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So this is kind of our last slide. Um, and it's how stories can sway people. As I had mentioned before, elections are often shaped by very strong emotions. And political parties tend to use this against the people, where they use malinformation, which is when a piece of information is twisted to fit a certain narrative. Um, they use it to kind of sway people to believe something in a certain way. Um, yeah, the way a story is told can often change how people perceive a candidate or an issue.
तो अगर कोई इलेक्शन चल रहा है और कोई पार्टी को वोट्स चाहिए, तो वो कोई ऐसी चीज़ जनता को प्रॉमिस करेंगे जिसकी उन्हें नीड हो। तो जो जनता होती है वो उनके लिए वोट कर देती है, क्योंकि उन्हें लगता है कि अगर हम इन्हें इलेक्ट करेंगे तो उनकी जो माँग है वो पूरी हो जाएगी। पर कभी-कभी ये जो बोलते हैं वो ऐसा नहीं करते, पर वो बस ऐसे अगर वो प्रमोट कर रहे हैं सोशल मीडिया पे, जैसे व्हाट्सएप फॉरवर्ड्स भी वो प्लांट कर सकता है, या इंस्टाग्राम पोस्ट। तो वो जब ऐसा करते हैं तो वो जो जनता है उन्हें इमोशनली ब्लैकमेल करता है। और ये हमेशा सच नहीं होता, पर कभी-कभी सच भी होता है।
Yeah. So there is this term known as political hygiene, and it's very similar to like actual hygiene. Um, it is when you check your information before you believe it or share it. So um, I think there's a very good way of combating this sort of this problem. And the first step I think is to pause first before before you immediately share a certain post that you find is insane, or you think is like you don't know if it's true or not. Just pause for a second and think of these questions, like who made this message, why do they want me to say it, what feeling is it trying to create, and what is missing.
तो पॉलिटिकल हाइजीन क्या होता है? पॉलिटिकल हाइजीन मतलब कि आप जब भी कोई जानकारी रिसीव करते हो, तो आप बस ऐसे ब्लाइंडली उसे बिलीव मत कर लो। पहले तो इसके 3 स्टेप्स होते हैं। आप पहले रुको, सोचो कि ये जो मैंने पढ़ा है, क्या ये सच हो सकता है? अगर आपको लगे कि ये सच हो सकता है, तो आप 2-3 और जगह से चेक करो, गूगल कर लो, कोई दूसरे ऐप में देखो या कोई आर्टिकल पढ़ लो। और फिर आपको पता चल जाएगा कि क्या ये सच है या झूठ। फिर उसके बाद याद रखो कि आपकी जो मीडिया होती है, मतलब फ़ीड होती है सोशल मीडिया पे, वो आपको मिक्स रखनी चाहिए, ताकि आप कोई एक साइड से खाली सुन नहीं रहे, आप दोनों साइड की सुन रहे हो, ताकि आप अपना खुद का डिसीजन बना सकते हो।
Yeah, so as Parisa just said, after this, just check 2 or 3 places, see if the news has changed in any way, and make sure to mix your feed so you get more point of views from various different sources. Um, so that was the end. हमारी बात सुनने के लिए शुक्रिया। मैं आशा करती हूँ कि आपको हमारी बातों से मीडिया अवेयरनेस मिली है।
Thank you so much, Nidhi and Parisa. Next up, we've got Josh, who's going to talk about STEM and a bit more about, I think, the brain and our muscles. Josh, after you. Also, if you all have any other questions for Nidhi,
Yeah.
please keep them until the end of the session and then you can ask them. Yeah, Josh, go ahead.
Okay, so मेरा प्रोजेक्ट अल्जाइमर्स डिमेंशिया और पार्किंसंस बेसिकली न्यूरोमस्कुलर और न्यूरो डीजेनरेटिव डिजीजेस के ऊपर है। ये डिजीजेस
So, Josh, just to let you know, you can converse in English. It's not an issue.
Uh, So, uh, about neurodegenerative and neuromuscular diseases. So these are they are taking over the world, like mainly the older generation, uh, or it's very important to raise awareness about these diseases. So first I'll talk about Alzheimer's. So before you uh, learn about that, I'll talk about memory. Memory is the most basic brain function. It's the most important one that you use in your like daily life every day. So there are three types of memories: sensory memory, working memory, and long-term memory. Sensory memory, it's just you hold for 0.5 seconds. Like it just a fleeting thought. Like it won't last. Working memory, 7 items for 20 seconds. So it's like a collection of seven like small memories for like 20 seconds. So this is still a little longer time. And long-term memory is potentially unlimited, consolidated during sleep. Consolidated during sleep means uh, basically it replays in during sleep the entire time. So like your brain gets to know it better and it replays it basically. And yeah, memory is reconstructed each time you recall it, uh, which means that every time you like recall a memory, it changes. Like your view on it changes. So Alzheimer's disease, it mainly affects this function of memory. So basically, it happens when tiny abnormal proteins build up inside and around the nerve cells, and these proteins stick together. They clump together, blocking cells from communicating and slowly killing them. So they're very toxic when they clump up together. As these cells dies, the brain will shrink. So this is why it's called neurodegeneration. So the number of cells decrease, and that's why few brain functions can get affected because like almost all the cells in the brain like together like uh, help with the functions. So brain functions like memory, learning, decision making are affected. So yeah. So yeah, this is the hippocampus is where memory is consolidated. Okay, so dementia. So the a big difference is Alzheimer's is a thing that leads to dementia. So basically, dementia is like a collection of symptoms, basically. It's an umbrella term for a group of brain disorders causing a decline in memory, thinking, and reasoning skills. It's not a normal part of aging. So don't think like if someone that you know is old and they lose memory, like they are actually like it's normal. It's not a normal part of the aging process. So yeah, it's severe enough to interfere with daily life and like in basic activities. So yeah, Alzheimer's accounts for 80% of dementia cases, but yeah, there are other things that can cause dementia. So it's important to know the difference. So yeah, early symptoms are memory loss disrupting daily life. Yeah, so frequently forgetting things, difficulty with familiar tasks. So your daily tasks get kind of hindered because you don't remember stuff. Confusion with time and place, again, losing track of the date, season, or language and communication, difficulty joining. So yeah, your language skills and communication skills are also kind of affected. Poor judgment, decision making, as I said, and changes in mood or personality. So yeah, you appear confused, suspicious. So how can life? So yeah, so as you saw, Alzheimer's and dementia can cause like people to struggle a lot. So how can life be made easier for them? So setting up a simple routine, limited tasks. So like again, they don't have like they don't have the memory function working properly. So just make something simple which they can remember, limited and simple tasks. Keep the environment quiet and distraction free. As I said, like they can have mood changes, so they need a little bit of calm. Place labels or pictures on cabinets and doors. So this is another thing that can really help because like again with the memory thing, it can help like with color coding systems. They associate a color with some kind of thing. So like red with hot. Communicate with them in soft, calm voice again, and visual signals. So yeah, for better understanding, engage them with low stress activities. So yeah, they can get agitated a lot. So this would help. So how to prevent diagnosis? So like inform your elders or grandparents around you. So manage high blood pressure, diabetes, and high cholesterol. So these indirectly heavily impact brain health. Quality rest and sleep, 7 to 8 hours per night is kind of necessary. And a brain healthy diet, leafy greens will be needed, berries, whole grain nuts, and healthy fats. And keep your brain challenged by learning new skills, reading, or taking classes. And maintain social connections to prevent loneliness and mental isolation and prevent head injuries. So, yeah, brain trauma can be another very big reason why Alzheimer's is caused. A few facts are there. So, just to raise awareness about how much, like, how significant and how big this is. Like, you would think of cancer, like, this is the biggest disease that's causing. This is up there with cancer that's causing many cases. So new case of dementia rises every 3 seconds. That's quite a lot. This fact I already said. 3/4 of people living with dementia worldwide have never received official diagnosis. That's why it's kind of important to yeah to be aware about these things. Globally, Alzheimer's and dementia kill about. So yeah, this can be fatal as well, and it's quite progressive. So the symptoms, like if they're not like treated, so yeah, the I forgot to mention, but this disease cannot be cured. That's another reason why it's so like it's such a large issue. Uh, and it kills about 1.8 million people each year. So yeah, that's quite a lot, and it's progressive. Like its symptoms worsen if they're not treated properly. So now I'm gonna move to Parkinson's and NMDs. So NMDs are neuromuscular diseases. So they affect the muscles as well as the nervous system. So Parkinson's, yeah. Okay, so first I'm gonna just talk to you about. I'm sure a lot of y'all must have know about the brain cell, the basic structural unit of the brain, the neuron. So yeah, we have three types of neurons: sensory, motor, and interneurons. So sensory neurons receive the information from the receptors. Like the receptors are placed like in your eyes, in your nose for smelling, and all around your skin for feeling like sensations like touch and like temperature. And motor neurons, so first the sensory neurons will carry the information to the brain, and the brain will process it and it will send it back to the motor neuron. The motor neuron is they have like a neuromuscular junction with the muscles and they will cause the motor reflexes. Interneuron is so it helps communicate between sensory and motor neurons. So this is like a basic generalized structure of the brain cell. So you will receive the signal. So and it's like a big framework. There's not one. There are like about trillions of brain cells in our body. Um. So yeah. So the dendrites will receive the impulse and it will send it through. So the myelin it will send it to through the axon terminal to another neuron. So you just have to imagine that it's like a huge connection framework of neurons. So like from each point here, it'll be receiving a impulse from many different neurons. Each neuron is connected to at least about thousand other neurons. So yeah, because one neuron is not sufficient enough to provide the signal. So yeah, it's an electrical signal, and yeah, the myelin sheath is kind of like an insulating layer which will not allow the signal to go out. So yeah, so two between two neurons or even between yeah, between two neurons, you will have, so basically here, between the axon terminal and the dendrite of another neuron, it's not connected basically physically. There's a small gap that's called the synapse. And from year to year, it's passed chemically. So here, the electrical signal does not go from one cell to the other. It passes chemically, basically. Synaptic vesicles carry these chemicals, uh, which are called neurotransmitters, and they will be passed on to the receptor of the other cell, which will trigger the next electrical response in the other cell, and that will keep going on through and through, like through all this, like a full circuit. So yeah, a few neurotransmitters. So like each neurotransmitter has a different function: acetylcholine, GABA, glutamate, and dopamine. I'm sure you must have heard of dopamine. Like it's a thing where like most people want, like it's the reward system of the brain. Like you want, it's quite like an energizing thing. It'll bring you pleasure, like low reward, low effort, but you get high reward. Yeah. So this is why like people scroll because of dopamine. A dopamine rush, like things like scrolling, instead of doing like real things that make them happy, they do things which are low effort. And this is why like this is a huge problem in today's generation because of technology. So Parkinson's is caused by progressive death. Again, this is a neurodegenerative disease, progressive death of dopamine producing neurons. So in the substantia nigra of the brain, that's a part of the brain where Parkinson usually affects. So yeah, for diagnosis of Parkinson's, this part of the brain is the part that's affected. And like in your scans, you get to know that this part is kind of, there's a reduction in like the size of this part. So as I said, signals are transmitted electrochemically. Through the cell, it will be transported electrically, and from one cell to the other, it's transported chemically. So is polarization, depolarization is basically, what do you say, like for the impulse to pass, it's like it's polarity. I think you may have heard of this in chemistry, like a difference between two, like a positive and a negative charge, like separated. Uh, yeah, so that's polarization, and it gradually happens. It gradually like progresses through the axon, and that carries the terminal. So basically, a wave of polarization and depolarization of the neurons. So yeah, so the reflex arc. So as I said, the dopamine part was what was affected by Parkinson's. Neuromuscular diseases, there are quite a few. They affect the motor function of the reflex arc. So this is like it's a circuit basically of how like is a reflex arc of how like if you touch something that's not comfortable, like an immediate involuntary like reaction happens, and you like if you touch something hot, like in this diagram, your hand like you immediately remove it. So yeah, so again, as I mentioned, the receptor to the sensory neuron, that's basically how it goes. And then to the brain, no, so basically here, even the spinal cord has a few functions. So instead of the brain, we have the spinal cord instead, and it'll be carried back. So you're the interneuron, and that will carry it back through the motor neuron, and it will go to the muscle, and the muscle will contract, and it will remove your hand involuntary. You would not make this decision, but it's like made for you. So receiving information, yes, receptor and planning. So sometimes it goes up to the brain, sometimes it does not. Uh, so planning, so brain is like how in your laptops you have like a chip, like the processor. Brain is kind of like the processor. It will receive signals and it will process them and send them back. So yeah, signal transmission, motor neurons drive the action, the neuromuscular junction. So basically, between the motor neuron and the muscle, there's quite a complex neuromuscular junction. It's quite a it's a chemical complex process. So that's how that shows how the muscles are contracted and relaxed. Motor coordination to coordinate all. of these, what do you say? So motor function, motor coordination and control. So coordination is by the cerebellum. So like if you have too much alcohol, this is affected and you lose like motor coordination, like a control of all the motor movements in your body, like moving your hand, like and how they are all coordinated, like hand-eye coordination, like between two muscles. Yeah. So Parkinson's disease is caused by, okay. Yeah, it's caused by the death or damage of nerve cells or neurons in the substantia, as I already said this. And these normally produce dopamine, a crucial chemical messenger. It also coordinates movement as well as the reward system. And the brain cannot control movement. So yeah, Parkinson is also categorized as a movement disorder, and it leads to tremors, stiffness, and balance issues. Parkinson's symptoms can be reduced by DBS or deep brain stimulation technology. So this is like a very recent technology. It's a neural implant that will send electrical signals and it will do the function that these nerve cells cannot. So yeah, part of the DBS system. So yeah, this is a deep brain simulation. There's a complex surgery behind it. You will implant electrodes into your brain and it will be placed and be positioned in a specific part of the brain that's affected by Parkinson. And the extension wire will be carried down to a internal pulse generator. So like if you guys are interested in like technology, like this is quite a like what do you say? It's quite a new thing it's quite selling high in the market. Extension wires that are like it will communicate with this internal pulse generator that will it will produce electrical energy that is given to this electrode that will release it into the brain. So now we have kind of a deep brain stimulation where it will have like the electrical signal will be released at only specific times and it could be turned off as well. So yeah, technology is quite improving quite fast. So yeah, early symptoms. So these are few early symptoms before the disease gets out of hand. If you notice these, a slight shaking or trembling, typically in in the limb, slowed movement. Physical actions can get quite difficult, like getting out of the chair. It takes a little bit of time. Rigidity, muscle stiffness. Preventive measures are also important. Again, aerobic exercise, a healthy diet, fruits, vegetables, and caffeine consumption. So yeah, many studies are saying that caffeine, like coffee, tea, or a Red Bull, are quite associated with a lower likelihood. So basically, if you consume it a lot, like it causes Parkinson, basically. So now neuromuscular diseases, so quite a few, as they they basically will affect the brain function of the motor function, basically. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, it's one of the most common neuromuscular diseases. It's degeneration of the motor neurons in the brain and the spinal cord. So those ones were Parkinson's targeted the degeneration of dopamine producing neurons. These are motor neurons. Even to total loss of motor control, this can also cause paralysis. Muscular dystrophy, this is kind of genetic. Disrupt the proteins needed to build and maintain healthy muscle tissue. Myasthenia gravis, it's an autoimmune disorder. So basically, when the immune system attacks your own body and it like malfunctions. Peripheral neuropathy and spinal muscular atrophy are the diseases. Okay, so first I'm going to walk you through ALS. So ALS early symptoms are muscle weakness, like starting with the hand, foot, and arm. There's progressive weakness, like you're losing muscle mass, twitching and cramping. So frequent muscle twitching and painful cramps because now there's your motor coordination and motor control are affected. So you cannot control like your muscle move. Slurred speech. Again, like talking is a muscular movement. So yeah, that's also kind of affected. Difficulty swallowing. This is another muscular movement, like the muscles in your throat. clumsiness, frequent tripping. So yeah, you cannot control your body exactly. So you frequently trip, drop objects. Preventive measures, avoid environmental toxins. So chemicals, toxic chemicals can cause this. Maintain a nutrient-rich diet, consume a balanced diet, basically high in antioxidant. Exercise regularly. Obviously, exercise kind of, it's given that in old age, if you do that to prevent all kind of diseases. Exercise regularly. Oh, okay. Avoid smoking. So yeah, smoking also causes, again, it has chemicals which increase the risk of ALS. Physical trauma, injuries, head and spinal trauma can cause ALS. The brain computer, now this kind of a thing is an innovation, another neural implant. So neurotechnology is the future of like healthcare and technology. Uh, like innovative machines that like interact with basically between the brain. These are what brain computer interfaces are. Like there's a strong communication between your computer and the brain. So basically, you may not be able to speak, you may not be able to communicate with the people around you, but your brain will make thoughts and like it will control computers. So yeah, so the interface this time, instead of you communicating your expressions, you will communicate through the computer. So basically, it's quite a new field. So yeah, this is something Stephen Hawking also had, and this is something he used to communicate with the external world. A tablet. So basically, your thoughts will go through, and it will be amplified, it will be processed, and it will be sent to this tablet. So like, if you're thinking of a word, and if you're thinking of communicating something like I want water, like it will be processed and it will display on the tablet, so other people can help you. So yeah. These kind of devices really help people with ALS or people who cannot communicate in general to like express themselves and like communicate with the outside external world. Okay, yeah, and muscular dystrophy, as I said, this was a genetic disease that caused muscular weakness. Yeah. So muscle weakness, progressive weakness, frequent falls, clumsiness, tripping and difficulty, uh, trouble rising from sitting or lying position. Like if your muscles are getting weak, yeah, it's quite a lot of trouble to get up. Enlarged calves. So they'll look calf because your muscle is replaced by the fat and scar tissue and walking changes. So waddling gait, walking on your toes, experiencing. So yeah, again, your muscle affected a lot, so you can't even walk properly. And since muscular dystrophy, it's not exactly affecting the new, what do you say, like the nervous system, and it's a genetic condition, so it cannot be fully prevented. Like genetic diseases, yeah, we have like new things that are, but it's going new innovations that are there in the world of biotechnology, but that's still going to take some time. But these measures help manage progression, and so of course, as I said, like most of the diseases cannot be cured, but a few machines or few preventive measures or like precautions could help with these diseases. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Josh. There was a question for you asking you what the substantia nigra is. Can you explain that?
Okay. So the substantia nigra is the part of the brain which produces dopamine, producing producing. It has the neurons that produce dopamine. It is located near the hippocampus. I'm not sure, but yeah. So that's the part that is affected by Parkinson. So basically, the neurons there are affected by this part, and because of that, like the dopamine producing neurons, so you have lower concentrations of dopamine running through your nervous system. And yeah, dopamine controls a reward system and as well as the motor movements. That's why Parkinson's is caused. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Does anyone else have any other questions for Josh, Parisa, or Nidhi, or any examples that you wanna cite for the previous presentation? So, If there's nothing, then I just want to say thank you to the presenters and thank you for y'all to being a good audience. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining the meeting.